Today's guest in the Voodoo Room, the two lovely ladies from Darlinghurst, Cassie and Pagan. So how's it all been going since we've been in lockdown?
I think the first part was pretty difficult for us because we weren't allowed to be in the same room. But now that we are, we're sort of slowly getting back into it. Sort of feels normal. We were in each other's pockets for the last 3 years, and then to be like, nope, cannot see each other was like, oh, especially the two of us.
Yeah, we've always been sort of in each other's pockets prior to even being in Darlinghurst anyway. So, but I've enjoyed it.
She's enjoyed not being with me.
No. I think it's been a really funny situation because, on one hand you've got people that are, missing out on work and, it's been a real issue to survive. And I know there's the job seeker, job keeper. I can't keep up with all the keepers and seekers because there's just so many of them. Yeah. But, some people are doing better, being on job keeper or job seeker than what they actually were. But I've enjoyed just the downtime, because for a while there it was every weekend, we were just never home. So I loved it. I thought it was bloody awesome to start with. So, but I didn't have to homeschool.
That was awful. I hope that no one ever has to homeschool a 5-year-old ever again. I have the worst patience in the world, and it was a nightmare. I'm like, right, bud. Right, and then by the end of it, it was just like words that were said that I shouldn't have said.
But did he write A?
No, I think he wrote the other one.
Well, why not? I mean, that's still writing.
That's right. It's just a word,
it's just a word, And
it's right high up there in my vocabulary.
I mean, I don't know. I've only got a dog. I don't have children. But how does that, what happened? They weren't going to school, so you had to do the whole, I'm going to get up at 7:30, do the breakfast, and then straight.
And then
would he put his clothes? Would he put his school jumper and stuff on?
Oh, no. There was parents that did that, but I was too much effort.
Yeah, I mean, who needs to do that?
No.
You're at home.
Yeah. You got to make sure that, especially when you are at home, that you're as comfortable and relaxed and feel as good as possible, or else nothing would get done. Not that it did anyway.
But it was quite difficult, really, because, like your son, it was his first year at prep. So they hadn't even been there that long. And, there's already that build-up that whole time of you're going to school this year, how exciting, rah-rah. And he used to put his uniform on and we'd be like, oh, you look amazing before he was going. And then he's there for not even
6 weeks, something.
6 weeks, and then he's out. So he thought, well, this wasn't that hard, this schooling
and
thing.
He did, and I was surprised because of how I did, that I was like, he'd be running back. And he was like, oh, I don't want to go to school anymore. I'm like, pretty sure you don't have a choice and you really do need to go back. Or else I will start day drinking.
I think lots of parents did.
Yeah, just hold on a sec. I'm just going to take a pill and wash it down with a bit of vodka.
Sometimes when you're having the absolute worst time, or, when you're just having a coffee or just thinking about something, some of the best things just happen. And it's better than sometimes having a sit down and be like, today we're writing. Some of the weirdest, most beautiful things have come from really bizarre experiences, or when you've been
the least expected time. Definitely.
In the shower. I don't know.
Well, why not?
Or sleeping. You wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, hold on, here we go.
Yeah, definitely. Dreaming and sleeping, that's...
Have you ever dreamt a song and wrote it down?
Yeah.
You have done that. And how did that
recently.
turn out?
I think we've probably done it for different songs, but I think that's the thing that you learn early days when you're writing, is to have a pen and paper.
On standby.
Yeah, because it goes that, the idea's there and it's so fresh. And if you go back to sleep, it's very rare that you can remember that. Well, I reckon. Well, particularly with my memory anyway. I don't remember, so.
No, well, I think recently it was really bizarre. I woke up and I just had a chorus in my head, so I just recorded it on my phone, and then all of a sudden the verse comes, I'm recording, and then I'm hearing a bass line and a guitar line, and I'm like, ding, 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 ding. And then I sent it all off to the band, and I was like, look, that could be real rough. But that's how I was feeling at the time, so you're welcome.
Well, I had a dream once, it's weird how you remember these sort of things, and I was dreaming that I was floating in the air at the local football ground, above the goalpost, and I was listening to Jackson Browne's Bright Baby Blues, and it's David Lindley playing lap steel guitar.
Lovely.
Have you heard that song?
I haven't heard the song, but I love lap steel.
Yeah,
so.
and anyway, it's an incredible song, and the breakdown, that middle 8 part, you got this solo lap steel guitar, which is just beautiful. And there I am floating at the local football ground with the lap stool in the background, and it's weird how stuff like that.
Did you actually wake up and start wondering?
I just thought that song. It's weird how you have then you have that relationship with that song, forever.
But
exactly.
Did you actually think though there was something from that? Like, did you try and look up what it meant or anything? Because we had wasn't a dream, but we had the most
bizarre trip.
It was bizarre, but it was just profound. And we were driving back from, had we been to Canberra?
We hadn't been yet.
Oh, okay.
So we had a few rehearsals and then we had a gig in Echuca, and on the way, we're about to go to Canberra to do some
some BVs for Benny
Walker
at
it
was a
multicultural festival.
Yeah.
And
festival.
Yeah, we're really good at speaking. But on the road, all of a sudden is this
massive big stag. It was insane.
Just in the middle of the road as we're driving on this and it was huge.
It was a male, obviously, and he was huge.
And it stopped and looked at us.
And we had to stop the car.
I'm like, what's going on here?
Anyway, and then it just, out of nowhere, just took off up the hill. And I said I'm like, that means something.
Check it out.
That means something. I'm like, I don't care what anyone says, but that is, and then, I looked it up and it said, new beginnings and things sort of coming up and, going to change. It's going to be changes. And that was like around the time that we had just met
Jason,
just spoken to Pete, just met Jason, other things going on in our lives, and it really did. Our whole lives kind of shifted, didn't they?
It was amazing. Yeah, sort of like, it sounds like it's a bad thing.
Because Pagan was like literally going, no, it's just a stag on the road. I'm like, how often do you see a stag on the road?
It really changed everything.
Yeah, it did. It was unbelievable.
Yep, I became very single and...
Very single as opposed to...
Married.
I'm sorry, I just headbutted you.
It's all right, I'm used to it.
It's always an accident.
It was such a big turnaround for us. Like everything that could have possibly going like one way, all of a sudden was like flipped on its head, and it was like everything was just happened like so rightly. It was great.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in like signs and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
I used to be, but I'm a bit bitter and disappointed.
Are you?
So I think it's killed all those aspirations out of my life.
No, you still need to have
faith.
You
do, but they're good. They're good. It's good. It's great to have that stuff. I mean, where did you read what it means? Have you got a book that you refer to?
No, Google.
Google.
Siri. What is it? No, I'm kidding. Google. Yeah, I just Googled
it. I want to tell you.
Yeah, it's just
right.
random animal sites. Like. What does a stag stand for? What does it mean? And it came up with all these kind of spiritual...
New beginnings and...
Yeah, things behind it and what other
start
people, have written about stags and the meaning behind seeing them. Because it wasn't just like he ran across the road. He was literally sideways with his head and his big antlers just staring at us. And we had to stop the car. And he sat there for a little bit and then he just took off. And I'm like, that's weird. And we'd driven down that road so many times. I mean, kangaroos, yes, they're everywhere. I seem to hit them. They love me.
3-in-1 trip for you.
A 2-in-1 trip. I've hit 3. Yeah, so I've hit 3
You've
in
hit
total.
3. What, you've killed 3 kangaroos? Or?
No, I don't think I've ever killed any of them, but I wouldn't know because they've taken off.
Yeah.
And I hate it because it makes me feel sick. Like, even if I hit a bird, I want to vomit. Like, I can't stand it. And then I just feel like I've ruined their life. And what if they've got a family? And what if they've got a husband or a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend? I'm like, I've ruined their day.
I don't think they have to get married.
No, but that's what you know what I mean? Like, that's where my head goes. And I think this poor little thing I've hit. And so, yes, when I've hit the kangaroos, I had shurus on one time too, and I hit 2. So they...
Don't get them.
Well, not the ones I got. I must have maybe got a good deal and they didn't work. But, yeah, I hit 2 in one sitting. And
that would have done a lot of damage to your vehicle, right?
I gaffer taped the front of my car for a while.
Jesus, what was it badly
Gaffer
damaged?
tape fixes everything.
Gaffer fixes everything. I tell you what, you could build a house with gaffer.
You may need a few other you know,
No,
instruments
don't
as
worry.
well. Just just Gaffer.
Just Gaffer, just all Gaffer. It's waterproof. It sticks. I tell you.
Because I remember going up to Cairns and I was walking past this tarot shop and I thought, looked at the girl, I thought, oh, yeah, I'll go in there and give it a go, you know. I
Yeah.
never had my cards read. And I remember she was reading my cards and she was giving me all this bad news.
Oh.
And I walked out of there, my mate said, how'd you go? And I said, I think I'm fucked.
I think my entire life is just shit.
That's why I know that you've had stuff like that done before. I am so scared. I'm so intrigued by it, but I'm so scared everyone's going to be like, oh, there's some bad shit happening for you.
How long has Darlinghurst been together? A couple of years? It's been 3 years?
So we've been writing for about 3 years, but our first single came out last August.
And that was the one that I thought was...
No.
No, that was the second single. So, yeah, there's one that you think slightly controversial, which is...
No, but you hang
it's
on. We
mortifying.
need to. Well, it is, but I think we need to clear this up because I think when you were saying you thought we were saying go back to where you came from, you actually thought we were saying that to Pauline Hanson, didn't you?
No.
No, I thought you were...
Oh, so you thought we were being
racist.
like Pauline?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God!
Which
It
is-
is nothing like Pauline Hanson.
No.
Not that I know her. She's probably a lovely lady in her own little
World.
box. But yes, no. So when you said, "Oh, that's
No,
hideous,"
that's why I was like, that's horrible, and you were
I
like,
was
we're
laughing.
taking it as bad, and I was like, I'm not sure what sort
Oh my
of
God.
wavelength you're on, but it's not on my wavelength.
No.
But no, so the song is actually about being in a relationship and being like, oh, I've had enough, catch ya.
it is. It's just that
Yeah,
strength
it's
of
just like,
going,
no.
you can do this on your own. You don't need to do
Well,
life with a partner.
how many relationships have you had like that where you've just gone, I've had enough, catch her?
Oh, God.
No, Darlinghurst is awesome, man. I mean, when I...
After you got over the go back to where you came from comment.
because then I got to work with you because that's why I was watching it because I thought they're supporting the Black Sorrows and I thought let me just have a listen to what they do and I just like okay, are they something to do with Pauline Hanson? And that's what I thought, and then I clicked and obviously I wasn't, and then you came and because you didn't sound check. I remember you didn't.
The first time we
didn't.
didn't.
No,
There was
sound
no
check.
time.
And I'm like, okay, we'll just have to roll with it, and it sort of worked okay.
It was
And
fine, yep. Oh, the actual venue's a ripper. Like
awesome.
it's unbelievable. I love the fact that, you know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Philadelphia in regards to all those kind of underground, you know,
Basements,
places.
yeah.
And
New
it's
York and all that
it's
kind of
really
stuff.
cool. Like I hadn't actually been in there before. I think majority of people that are going into arts, not just because it's a bypass to get into the degree they want to, because some people will do an arts degree to kind of bypass because they may not have gotten the right, you know, enter score. So that's sometimes a way of getting around it then, you know, obviously deferring or going to or trying to get into another course just by starting an arts course. But most people that do arts because they love it, you know, let's be honest, we're not doing it because we all assume to be multimillionaires. I mean, if you're doing it to chase fame, that's different. There's a whole different...
You wouldn't study it, surely.
That's a whole different kettle of fish. But if you're
You do it for
actually
love.
doing it for the love of it, then you'd just like to think that if you can master it and get good at it and love it, the money will soon start to come. You know, it may not be something that you become a multimillionaire from or that you could... But I think if you love something, you find something that you love, the money will come and you find ways to do it. You set up a podcast, you go out on your own, you go and get your own gigs, you know, we had a photo booth for a while, you know, you do what you can to sort of
What do you mean you had a photo booth?
We owned one and ran
Yeah,
one.
we did.
We have done some of the most
We are
bizarre things
crazy.
going on. And it was really
Oh,
heavy.
God. And we
It
had
was-
a van
we-
that came with the photo booth that didn't have reverse or fifth gear. So we
But-
used to have to push it to reverse out. Oh, my God.
But not only that, it was
two of us.
manual, and neither of us knew how to drive manual.
We
so
had
we
to learn on the-
it was learned on the fly. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, this will do. Yep, let's do that.
And we got to Dalesford, and you know how Dalesford's like really
sorry.
hilly.
I'm apologising already.
Oh, we got to Dalesford and we were like trying to, like we'd parked the van and we'd never done a handbrake start. I'm like, why can't I get this freaking thing up? This is ridiculous. And Pagan bailed because I just kept
We started rolling back and I thought we were going to die. So I was like, catch her.
Jumped
out of the van while it was moving. I was like,
and
sorry.
I'm like looking at it going, what are you doing? And I'm rolling. I've got my foot on the brake and I'm just rolling back into a bush.
It was such a big deal. And like there was accommodation
Crazy.
right behind it. I was like, no, if you hit this, I don't want to be a part of it.
Then the door wouldn't close and we had to gaffer tape the whole thing like around to get to our next gig. We've done
So this is with the
photo booth.
The photo booth of band.
What made you get a photo booth?
Because when we were doing covers, so not Darlinghurst.
We did a lot of weddings.
We did lots of weddings and corporate stuff, and photo booths were huge at weddings. So we went, we'll have a photo booth and we'll play.
So you'll come with the photo booth?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'd sell it as a package, and and it worked, and we did really well with it. But yeah, we had a dodgy van,
each section of the photo, it was like a more old school sort of vibe
It was
photo
beautiful,
booth.
though. The
It was
booth
stunning.
but it was a lot of
But
work.
it was like 20 kilos each section, and Cassie's a lot shorter than I am.
I am not.
So, okay. So trying to put it over our heads, that was an issue. So we had to lie it down, clip it all in, and then try and push it. I don't
So
know.
you were roading the Photoshop?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we
then
did
all
the
of our
whole
own
thing.
gear and all of our own band
And our
gear. So
lighting
our
and
lights
our
and so we
mixing
did,
and-
we did everything. Like,
You did everything?
Yeah, we just did it all. We
What,
were just
even the
like,
sound?
Yep, we did
The whole thing.
We did it all.
Well,
we were
you
like,
plug everything in?
yeah,
and
we
do-
plugged everything in.
Wow.
We did it all ourselves. We were just
Excellent.
like,
Don't know how good it was, but people seem to book us.
well, but but that was all. We just had to learn. We had to, there wasn't a lot of money
Yeah.
back in the sort of 80s. We talk about this all the time, but you could book bands at pubs and they'd be getting like, $6-7 grand for a band.
It's the
They
only
pay
industry
that.
where it's gone down. In
Yeah,
cash.
so we were like, we have to diversify here. So we can't afford to get, a lighting guy and a PA and a mixer. We just didn't have that luxury unless the budget was there. So we learnt. Pagan had done her arts degree and done a bit in it anyway. We just figured it out ourselves, and it's only two of us. It wasn't nothing over the top. We weren't like miking up drum kits and stuff. That would have been hilarious. But we did. We just did it all. We were
Most
just
of the
like,
time it was hilarious. Anyway, everyone's like, look at these two girls.
I know.
Like, they look like they're really struggling. Let's just laugh at them.
like big speakers and all that sort of stuff. But we did it. Like you can't say that we didn't. So.
Rap that we did it because it's helped us, be able to do now what we do and like help out whenever we can with things.
And we're not princesses in that regard, we're happy. Like we've worked when we have gone and done corporate gigs, and the the drummer and stuff are taking there, and we're like walking out with the kid, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And we're like,
Helping.
We're helping. Like it's just easier if we
Yeah.
just help. Like I'm not going to pack my microphone up
Yeah.
and then, like, see ya.
Yeah.
So we just help. We'll wind leads up, and we're happy to kind of help out in that regard. So.
Yeah.
How did you find playing at weddings? Because the last wedding I went to, I've only been to a few, but my sister got married in the late 70s. 1980 she got married, actually, and it was in the days where used to hire out the technical school. Like she hired out the local technical school hall.
Hall, yeah.
So my father paid for the catering and the band, and there was about 500 people.
Wow.
I reckon there was about 600 people in that
Wow.
hall.
Oh my goodness.
It was a big wedding,
Yeah, that's
and
huge.
it was like the Last Supper. We're all on the
The long tables.
your long
and-
table and stuff.
That's really,
and-
really popular
Hopefully
now,
she
though.
didn't feel that way too.
Well, I don't know, but I was only like 10 years of age or something, and I said to my there was a whole lot of people I went to school with, and I said to them, "Hey, let's paint their car." And I thought it was my brother-in-law's car, but it wasn't. It was his brother's car, and we put all toilet paper around it. We painted it with paint. We
my
we
goodness.
ruined the car, right? And then his wife's come out. She's going, "That's my car. What are you doing?" And we're like, and we all just ran, right?
Yeah, right.
And then the kids just went wild. They were kicking the doors into the school and stuff like they just went wild. And
Whoops.
and then my father got this bill because he knew the guy who was the caretaker, and he's going to him, "Joe,
Sorry, you thought it was
there's
expensive.
there's never going to be another wedding at this hall ever
Oh,
again."
no.
It was just horrific. My sister was like,
Oh, was she crying?
and
She
then,
would've been
and no,
upset?
she wasn't upset. Everyone just was having a great time.
Oh, okay.
And Joe got up and played on stage. It was
Oh,
awesome,
how
right?
good.
It was awesome. It
Yeah.
was, and I said to him, which car is yours? And he goes, that one over there. I said, all right, let's get that one now. We had,
Oh, so you were like,
it's
this is
two
the best
cars
wedding
ruined.
in the world. This is amazing.
they don't do that anymore, I guess, right?
No, not at any weddings I've been to. No, people just start
For us, it
painting
was
cars. What colour you want? Green. Yeah, we'll do green. Oh God! No, but honestly, most of the
What
weddings
colour
that
do you
we've done.
want?
Yeah, what colour do you want? Yeah, we got that. We can do that. Yeah, why not? You're wearing pink. Yeah, we'll do pink.
Extra side business.
Inside, we can do the interior. No problems. Imagine that.
Oh my God.
You can't sit wet paint signs everywhere. Oh, that'd be funny.
Oh my God.
People make mistakes, but no point hiding behind it. If you're somebody that's, deciding to go nude to a wedding, you let people know that that's your thing. And if they don't want you there,
Has that occurred?
we've played at a nudist colony.
Played at a nudist
Oh,
colony.
did you? Where,
Yeah.
in Adelaide or?
No,
No,
here.
here.
Okay, whereabouts?
In Mount D. It's like in
Somewhere
that.
in Mount Dandenong. But
But it was a dress up, wasn't it? It was really weird. It was like
So
a nudist
half
colony. It's like,
people-
but it's an Addams Family theme. I'm like, at a nudist colony. So what do they do?
Well, people had costumes and then people had painted stuff and
Was this a wedding? Or?
No, just a party.
a nudist colony that
And
were
I
having
only-
an Addams Family theme and wanted a band.
Well, I only got told as we were
And
going
did you have
there.
to partake in that?
No.
No.
Oh, I suppose we could have if we wanted to, but I wasn't.
Hard pass.
I would have gone as Cousin It, just with hair everywhere. I was like, there was some fun. Very unusual. It's again, I'm
Each
all
to
for
your own.
Yeah, I'm all for people doing their own thing, but
It's not my vibe.
it's different. And I remember
What's it like? Is it tense or is it pretty loose?
I
or-
think it is, but I
Well, I actually, when I did it, my college professor was there.
Oh, that's awkward.
And I was like, hi, how you going? Had no idea where to look. I'm like, this is, didn't recognise you without your clothes on. But then it was.
now I know why you were so confidently teaching me.
Oh, God. I was like, can we sit down behind a table so that I can talk to you and just see you from your chest up?
Not just keep looking.
I know, and that's the
It's
thing.
an
you don't-
eyesore with those things. You can't
don't
stop
know where to
yourself. You're
look.
like,
And then the lady
don't do it.
The lady that paid us, we had to go and collect the money, and the guys in the band thought this was hysterical because they'd played there before, and they obviously let me know. They're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool with it. It's fine. Obviously as long as I don't have to, I'm all good." And they're like, "Oh, can you just go and get the money from the lady?" So I did. She would have been, and bless her soul, she would have been maybe 65, 70, fully starkers. Got the
Was it winter?
yes.
Jesus.
She must have had a heater on. I don't know. But there was like a safe with the money, and so she's turned around
Oh,
and
my
bent down
Lord.
to get the money out of, and I'm just like, oh,
Showing a bit too much there, love.
it was crazy. And then I could see all the guys in the band laughing because obviously they know what it's like. Because that's what happens when you collect money at a gig. Never just this.
She got it out of a safe, I guess.
Pagan, that's disgusting. I would have died if that happened. But I just literally went, well, I think what I couldn't get my head around is I was getting a bit of a kick when I rocked up because, there's like tennis courts and I'm like just picturing all these people like playing tennis and bouncing on trampolines and imagining what that was like, volleyball courts, and I'm just thinking, oh man, this is a new world. It was like stepping into a new world, but
You wouldn't want to be bending over playing golf.
So there was
Crazy.
there was mainly professional people.
yeah.
All sorts.
All sorts.
I mean, from all walks of
Yeah.
life.
Families
but it was
and
really
everything.
family orientated.
You know-
I don't know if it still goes ahead, and I've been once, and it was a huge eye opener. But
To a
loved
service
it.
party?
No, to a festival. You've got all different types of people that go. You've got like a vegan sort of section, and then there's like the mud people that literally like roll around in mud and have their own language and walk around the festival.
Their own language.
Yeah, they just. No, I'm not kidding. That is the God honest truth. And then you've got people
I
that
would-
do the nude thing, and then you've got a whole bunch of awesome musos.
Is this a festival? Or
Yeah.
What's it called?
Confest.
Confest. Yeah.
Confest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this place is just a whole new world, and it runs for nearly 10 days. So,
Wow.
no, it's I've been.
I'm sure you have.
I had to go and see it for
Did
myself.
Did you go for the 10 days or?
No, my God. I think if I'd have gone for the 10 days.
She went for 20.
She went for the whole
I was
month.
there a week before. I go back there even after tonight.
She lives
I
there.
live there. But they, but it was, I enjoyed it because I was like, it's not a world that I want to be in constantly. But I thought, you know what? I can't knock
Give it a
it
go.
until I actually see what it's like. And it was cool. I mean, there was some awesome workshops and stuff too, like music and lots of amazing bands and artists and shut up.
I've not said a thing. I'm just looking at you.
But it's awesome experience. And I don't, I wouldn't go back again, like, because I've done it. But don't knock it.
Well, I went to Byron Bay to work in a recording studio in the late 90s. It was 1999 actually, and it's in a place called Federal. Do you know where that is in Byron Bay?
No.
It's up in the hills of Byron Bay. Anyway, I had to drive to get to the studio. I drove through these gates and it had rocking horse, and then I drove for another half an hour. And I'm going, where's this recording studio? Because it was all just paddock, open fields, right, with trees.
Yeah.
And then I saw this little cabin on the right-hand side as I was driving, and I could hear loud music coming from the cabin.
Yep.
And I got out of the car and I've gone, they must have something to do with the recording studio. So I knocked on the door and I waited till the song finished, and this guy comes out and he goes, yeah, man. I said, where's the recording studio, man? He goes, down there, man. and he shut the door, and I swear to God, there was so much marijuana, like, in the background, like the smoke was just hovering.
Oh, really?
It was.
So you didn't have to go in there. You just got high.
I was like, I'm in a suit, right? I'm in a black suit, vest, no tie, just white shirt,
Yep.
And I go and knock on the door, right? Because I finally drive another 10 minutes, and it's a house, right? And there's this he had a Rolls-Royce. The owner had a Rolls-Royce,
yeah.
right? And Dobermans, and they were going fucking crazy when I rocked up, right? So I'm knocking on the front door, and no one answered. And then finally, this guy answered. He goes, "Go around the back."
Oh my God, this is like a movie.
So I go around the back, and they're all freaking. They're going, "Did you knock on the front door?" I said, "Yeah." How do I know? I'm trying to find.
Gave me any direction.
That's why it's called a front door,
I mean, the guy down there just said, "It's down there." And anyway, so they were all freaked. They go, "You never knock on that guy's door." I think he was like some big mafia guy,
gosh.
and I had no idea, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever,
Just some more instructions next time.
And he's never going back.
And so I ended up leaving. I just didn't have a very good experience up there, and I was driving down to Lismore. And have you been to Lismore?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a main strip of Lismore. And I was hungry because it was around 7 o'clock at night, and I thought, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to get a pizza or something, right?
Yep.
So I've still got my suit on, right? And I go into this pizza shop, and there's 3 people waiting to get served their pizza. And this guy, and I'm going, where's the guy who's making the pizza, And he bobs up, he goes, how you doing? I said, I'm all right. He goes,
I'm all right.
And then he goes to the 3 people who were standing there, he goes to them. So they all go out. They clear the room and they wait outside.
What?
And he goes, I've heard about you.
What?
I said, what do you mean? He goes, I'm going to tell you some names, and you're going to tell me if you know these names. And I said, he told me some names, and I said, yeah, I know them. And he goes, my family was the first family to bring in Aquila shoes in Australia. My family was the first family to set up a hotel in Lygon Street in Melbourne. My family was the first family to do blah, blah, blah. And he went on and on and on. And I'm just like, holy shit. And then he said to me, he goes, listen, he goes, forget about the music. He goes, I want you to work for me making pizzas. I've got another shop around the corner.
So random.
I know, right? Because I said to him, I want a margarita with, and he goes, do you want anchovies? I said, yeah, put anchovies on it.
This is hilarious.
I couldn't believe it, right? And then this other person walked in while he's talking to him, and he goes
To
them,
person,
and
yeah.
they're waiting, right? So, and then another person, and there's like 8 people waiting while he has this conversation with me. So he makes me this pizza. The pizza's incredible, right? So I'm eating.
You'd want to hope so.
And then he said to me at the end of all of his spiel to me, he said to me, if you ever need anything, you come and see me. I said, I appreciate. I really didn't want to break his heart. You know, I didn't want to reject him at all. I just didn't know what to say to him. I said, look, I really want to continue on in the music industry. You know, if that's okay.
To a guy that you just met, is that okay? Oh my God!
Please don't kill me.
Wow.
So yeah, so you get some
goodness.
random shit up there. I got to tell you, you know, like it's really. And the point I was going to say was, that guy who owned the recording studio, I had to go to his son's house, and there's some religion that they all follow with the dot there. You know, it's the Shan Yashins or it's called the Shan Yashins or something like that, and they're big dope sellers. That's what that's what they do, right?
Yeah,
And anyway, I'm at this guy's place. I hope he doesn't. I hope he's still. I'm not sure if he's alive or what. I don't know, but it doesn't matter because he's not going to be watching this. But
If I walk out there and there's a guy with Dobermans, I'm going to kill you.
so anyway, I go into the. I get invited to the son's house, and it's like 3:00 in the afternoon. I find this guy's place, and it's sort of, you park your car and then you roll up a roller door and then you go through into the lounge room sort of thing. And he comes out with this white robe with his initials on the robe.
Right.
And I'm going, who's this fucking wanker? You know, that's what I thought. My first reaction was,
That's what mine would be.
this guy's a fucking wanker,
What
right?
a
Anyway,
dickhead.
that's exactly right. And he comes out and he goes, so you want to work in a recording studio? I said, yeah, well, I've just spent 4 years in Woodstock, you know, and I've just needed a break. So I just thought because I knew one of the guys from My Sex who was up there, and that's why I went up there, you know. And he said, oh, yeah. And he sat down. Anyway, this high ace van rocks up, and there's a guy driving and 3 girls, all from those Shan Yashins, right?
Yeah.
And I swear to God on this, right? And they've opened up the roller door, and the girls are like, you know, hippies dance, you know, shit. They're bouncing around at the front, you know, with their wand and all that sort of stuff, you know. Right, and I'm looking at it, and then they bring out bags.
I feel like I need to be smoking a joint listening to this story.
They bring out, I swear to God, bags of marijuana, right?
Oh, God. No wonder they were dancing.
Rubbish bins. Like rubbish bin bags full of it was like hay, right? It was like, and I'm just like, and he goes, oh, we're gonna, and then this guy rocks up and he goes, this guy, and he was sort of a bit weird. He goes, are you Maltese background? I said, yeah, my parents were. He goes, yeah, so is mine, mate. I'm going, okay. He was really intense.
Intense, yeah.
And he goes, so what are you doing around here, mate? And I said, oh, just, you know, want to work in a recording studio, mate. That's all I want to do. You know?
Yeah. I'm not going to steal your hate.
And then
Not a horse.
and he goes, all right. So I think he had something to do with it because he rocked up at the sort of just after they had dropped it all off, and then he took off with some of the gear, you know. And he was a pretty heavy guy, you know. And anyway, so I got out of there. They were going, oh, we're going to go out for dinner. We're going to this restaurant and we're going to have steak, you know. And I'm like, look, dude. And that's when I went to Lismore because I was like, I've got to get the fuck out of here.
Yes,
you know?
so and then you met the pizza guy.
And then I met the pizza guy. How weird is that, right?
This is the weirdest thing ever.
Oh my, what a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So did you work professionally as a nurse?
Yeah, I did for years and years.
Which hospital did you?
Well, I was at the Royal Melbourne for a little bit and Vaucluse Private. That was where I was mostly. And then I did palliative care, so going to people's homes. So, yeah. And then I worked in aged care for, God, probably the first 4 years or something in Echuca.
Well, that's an ungrateful job, isn't it?
Yeah, I love the oldies though. I think they're amazing. I think they're awesome. Like,
But the way they get treated, like,
well, yeah. I mean, to be honest, even it's like everything. Some of the people I work with were fantastic, and you would trust them with your mother or father or, you know, family members. And then there were others that you'd be like, I'd come home and I'd be like, I don't care what we're doing, but we're going to have enough money so that our parents do not have to go into those places because, you know, some people are horrible.
Oh, look, you know, I was having coffee one day down at Coburg, and there must have been we're outside having a drink and stuff, and this group of 5 people came and sat next to us, and I just sort of eardropped on their conversation, you know, and they were people who were working at the old people's home, and they were saying, you know, I got some jewelry from that guy's box, and I got this, and I got that, and then they were all planning their dastardly deeds within this.
That is horrendous.
And I just found, and I'm listening, I'm going, should I intervene here and say something? But I wasn't sure, because you just didn't know what the connotations was.
Or you weren't sure what the full story was, or were you listening right? Because that, you know, sometimes when you hear things like that, you kind of know.
Surely not.
Yeah, that's how I thought. But so then, you know, having seen people that are old people who I've known who've gone into some of those places and seen the state they're in because of neglect and not enough staffing or whatever.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's not always the actual people that are working there. It's the fact that there's not enough staff, you know. And
it's also a training thing, I think, as well.
Yeah, true.
You know?
True.
Well, and some people are supposed to work with, you know what I mean? Like some people are, you know, born to work in that sort of a sector, and some are not, and they're just doing it because that's the only sort of...
Yeah. And dementia's a huge one. Like I spent a lot of time in the dementia wing, and I loved it in there. Like I just thought it was great, but some just were better to not ever go in there. They just didn't have the patience and just didn't have the knack with them, and would become quite frustrated at the patients. It's like, this is not the area that you should be working in, because, you know, this is not their fault, you know.
But do you still do work like that, or
no? I basically do music now and work at an optometrist, but I work there casually. So, you know, this year was going to be the year where I'd take off and do all the music, and then COVID happened. So, you know, but that's all good. It is what it is. You know?
So who signed you? Which record label signed you?
Helium Records.
And who is that? A subsidiary of anybody? Or
no, it's not. They're totally independent, but it's run by Mark Pope and Alan Robertson.
Okay,
and
Mark Pope is an old Warner.
Yeah. Both of them are Warner.
Both are Warner.
And Alan did a whole heap of the international stuff with in Malaysia and Singapore, and brought the cause out here, and that's how they met, and they wanted to do something with the knowledge that they had, but something that, you know, it could be more intimate and more personal, and getting who they wanted and being able to, you know, mould them and like.
Are they Melbourne? Is it a Melbourne-based company?
No, well, it's kind of
it's all over the place.
All over the place. Mark Fennessy from Shine Media owns it was his. It's kind of been like
his baby,
a baby project for him. You know, was wanting to loves music. Obviously, media is his thing, and exceptionally good at that. But loved music, and Mark Pope's his best friend, and he wanted to back the guys and do it. So we were just lucky enough to be one of the acts that were signed. And
is it all that genre, sort of country music?
No, we're the only country act that they've got.
They've got 3 acts, I think. One sort of like alternative rock, and the other.
It's like indie. It's like
more, and the other one's more indie. So,
but they're doing really well in Germany, aren't they? Is that
Imbibe? Yeah. And then Gasper Sands is the one that runs out of Sydney. But
they're awesome. They're cool.
Popey and Fennessy are at Sydney. Alan is here in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then so one of the bands obviously is in Germany, one of them's in Sydney, and then we're in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So when did that all take place?
Last March.
Yeah.
So it's been a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been just on 12 months.
12
it's been
months.
Signed. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Very.
Did they give you an advancement?
No.
We
didn't want one.
We didn't really want one. Yeah, we didn't want to do that. We were like more.
We just want to get the music done and
focus
on what we needed to do.
So they do primarily all your promos and tours and stuff like that, and you just look after the music side of things? No?
It's a bit of a mix, I think, with our management as well. Sort of at the start we booked a lot of the smaller stuff that we were doing, and now our publicist does a lot of the stuff with Tamworth and that kind of stuff, and our management helps book gigs.
It's really quite open though,
But we run our social medias and our music sort of based stuff as well. So it's all, everyone has sort of like their say on all aspects of, the band.
Yeah,
which is really good.
Great. There's lots of horrible stories out there with labels, and we've had some people ask us what do we think. I can only say
from our experience,
it's been awesome. Like I can't imagine not wanting to be with these guys the whole way through if we managed to stay around for a long time. So
it's we're in a very lucky position where the people that we are working with, are loving what we do, and to have the support and to have us and want us to do so well doesn't happen very often anymore. So yeah, we're really lucky.
Yeah.
So the country music scene is more popular up in the northern part of Australia, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Queensland, Darwin.
Yeah.
We're starting to get a few more. But yeah, a lot of our last year was spent up in Queensland, back and forth to Queensland, and but we love it. We love the hot weather too. So
yeah,
we can't complain.
It's great.
And as we said before, we're happy to just pick up and wherever it takes us. Music is the one thing that we love and we have since we were babies. So to get the opportunity to actually do it full time for us is just, life changing and just amazing.
Yeah,
great.
Absolutely. Yeah, we love it.
So when you go up to Queensland, are you it's all sorted? Like you're doing just weekend gigs, or you're going during the week?
At the moment, obviously with the COVID stuff, not really.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that we've done thus far, leading up to now, has been festivals. So that all gets our accommodation, or that we head up there and do a bunch of festivals. And if we can try and work a few in at the same time, we will. But we're just led by them. It's kind of a collective in terms of what we think suits us as well.
But Premier does all your bookings, right?
Premier does most of our bookings, yeah. And then every now and then, because of Pope or Alan, they might be like, oh, we know someone in such and such, and we can get you on. So it's kind of it's really a combined effort. And Frank obviously books us and, does an awesome job with that stuff too, alongside with Keith as well, our manager. But we'll do. We'll if we can gig, we'll do it.
And I think too, what's been great is this year we've been able to get on the festivals due to people seeing us last year and the stuff that we just jumped on it because we wanted to just get out there, and sort of from that we've been able to get.
We're going to be doing the Deni Ute Muster, which is awesome.
We are doing that this year, which is really exciting. Hopefully it goes through October.
Yeah, October. Mm-hmm. Well, we were going to do Gympie too, but that's gone. We had quite a few this year. This year felt like we were ready to sort of have more and be out. We were ready to go, and then obviously but it gave us time to write more stuff and work on some other songs that, we're really proud of. So, you just got to look at the positives, don't you? Everyone's in the same boat.
We're in for the long haul, not for the short. Like as I said, we've been doing this forever, and we want to be doing it forever. So what's 6 to 8 months in the scheme of things.
Who knows, eh? Who knows?
Who knows?
But I'm hoping you end up in Nashville somewhere, because that's the place, isn't it? Really,
we would love to.
Yeah, look, I think we were sort of speaking about this earlier when we first arrived here with you, just talking about the fact that we've got some amazing Aussie artists, and we've got some great talent in our own country, and I think that was and has been a huge focus for us too, making sure that we solidify ourselves here in the scene, in our own on our own soil. Obviously, Nashville is a huge place to go for country music, and of course we would love to get there. And
focus here.
But focus here and one step at a time. And if we end up over there, fantastic. Yeah. I mean, we've started our American campaign just recently with secondary radio stations and stuff, which will start to be moved out
next week, I think.
So, that's all we can do, and we just one step at a time.
So are you playing with drummers? And
at the moment, no. We're just doing 4-piece acoustic.
As you do.
Yeah. We just keep it.
There's no
hiding behind anything with what we're doing at the moment.
Okay, so is that going to change? Because on your album you've got drums and bass.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So that's definitely something that we'll look at. But as you're probably aware too, I mean, there's always a budget, isn't there? So, I think what's worked in our favour too is that you're either a complete solo artist when you're doing these festivals, or it's just you and a guitar, or you're with a big band. So we had to make the decision. And we thought we'd give it a shot on the first festival to do it just the four of us, and we are heavily harmony based, so that's our thing, and it worked, and it almost worked to our advantage because no one else was doing it. So we thought, let's not rule, like, why we don't need to change it up yet.
Let's run with it for as long as we possibly can.
Until we might with some certain venues go, let's get a band in, but at this point we're working with just unplugged kind of raw vibe, which I think's kind of cool.
It keeps us in line too because there's no room for error.
We can't hide.
Everything is heard and everything is seen. So I think for us as musicians, it sort of keeps us in line and on focus of what we have to do.
And Jason's such a musical genius, when he's working out his parts, even though it is 2 guitars and 4 vocals, it doesn't sound like that. It actually sounds a lot fuller than that. So, let's, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Sure.
So let's just keep it for that, like in that way at the moment, and
see where we go.
Yeah.
Because you've been to Nashville, Pagan. You've been to Nashville. Is that right? Or
I have, but when I was very young, I was there living in Atlanta, but visited Nashville, and I recorded in my early 20s a album in New York. So I've spent a fair bit of time over in the States, but not a ridiculous amount of time in Nashville.
Okay.
Jason
was 4 years.
4 years in Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he
writing
and playing live and
just doing all of that.
And he worked with Kylie Minogue.
Yeah, Kylie Minogue, Pet Shop Boys, Girls Aloud.
What was he doing with the programming? Or?
Writing.
Yeah,
lyric writing
and
music.
Music. Yeah,
okay.
He's just a bit of a genius in that regard. And, he won his first British Music Award at 17, for Girls Aloud. That's huge, who does that?
Well, that's special.
It is.
And he can play pretty much
every instrument that you hear on the tracks.
I hate those type of people.
So do we. But in this aspect, it's great for us.
I don't hate it. I love it.
We're loving it at the moment.
They're great, though, isn't it, to have someone like that?
Well, he's hearing things even in our raw state when we're writing, if it's just an acoustic guitar or keys. And
you can hear the harmonies.
He's already, the harmony stuff, I think, is really collective. Like, we will sit and just do them.
Yeah.
It's something that I've always loved to do. Pagan loves doing it. That stuff's not, I don't find that hard. Yeah. What I get my head blown about is that he's already got bass lines in his head. So you might start singing home, nah, can't do that. What do you mean I can't do that? It works. Nah, it won't work with this. When I've got this in there. And it's like, where are those instruments? We're just, and so his brain is
around here.
Yeah, he's just, he's a genius.
Great. And Matt, how does he fit into the whole scheme of things?
Well, same, like we work as sort of, we all work writing together, and we all work as, lead vocalist. There's a song on the album, there will be a song where everyone takes a lead. So he's there as guitar, and he can really play guitar as well and sing. So he just is, one of us. The same thing as everybody else is doing.
Yep.
So that the songwriting is generally a collective process.
Yeah, it is. It's generally always a collective. I mean, every now and then someone might come with the first initial idea, but by the time you start with the idea and everyone sort of gets involved, it can end up being something completely different to what you actually originally started with, which is being funny, being somebody that has written before, and Pagan has, and obviously Jason and Matt individually, the process was very different. Doing it with the four of us, it's been definitely a learning curve, but it's been really good because I think the elements of the four of us together is what's created our sound. And I think we do have a sound now, like that's kind of ours, which is because of the 4 individual personalities and the different backgrounds, kind of a hybrid version of,
country pop.
Yeah. So it's good.
So what's the what's been the pitfalls for you? Not necessarily with Darlinghurst, but just generally in your careers. What have you had any really down sort of periods where you've gone, you know what, it's getting a little bit too hard, or this is happening, it's really shit house and I'm not sure how to deal with it? Have you ever had those sort of situations?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's been I've never gotten to the point where I wanted to ever stop singing, ever. but there has been bands that we've been in, different personalities that you have to deal with that aren't necessarily ideal, and ideas that people have that are outstandingly awful, and wondering where do you go, what do you do from being in a certain point. We've been together and in bands, and in the end decided to go out on our own due to circumstances surrounding a whole heap of different stuff. And for us, that was the point where we're like, okay, what do we do? And when we went out on our own, it was probably the best thing that we ever have done, and it was just for us sort of restarted everything for us.
Well, it gives you your own voice, and you can get a bit more enthusiastic about your processes because you're doing it yourself. You're not actually having to
just
take orders from somebody
and
else.
I think, having that responsibility and starting to really understand the, business side of it is important because, you have to diversify. You have to be able to be flexible and change and adapt, particularly when you're doing covers. And sometimes you do have to sing things that you may not necessarily love, but the crowd loves. And, I think the advantage too for Pagan and I has been that we've got great support, and I think that's a huge thing. And we've always had a backup. We've had, Pagan's had her teaching to fall back on. I've had my nursing. I think my lowest points with music have come always because of the finances when, I think the one time outside of now, but a long time ago when I went, I'm doing music full time. I've got gigs coming out of my head, like I'll be right. And then in all the years I'd been doing it, I'd never lost maybe one and then suddenly there was cancellations and no deposits, and I was like, oh my god, how am I going to pay my mortgage, how am I going to when I was independently on my own too, so car bills, bills, mortgage, pets, food, all those things, just like living expenses become quite stressful when the wage and the money's like not consistent. So then you'd question, oh, God, maybe I should just go back because I know what I can be earning. But every time I did it, within 2 weeks I'd be like, can't not gig. I can't. I feel like my limbs are missing. So then it was a balance of actually doing both for a while. I started, I was working like basically 7 days a week. I'd work Monday to Friday and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I just constantly did that. And then it's like, well, I'm burning out here. I need to actually pull back, maybe do casual, maybe pull back on the hours, focus on one thing and be good at that one thing rather than trying to do it all, because it's just hard to – it's just the balancing act, that's all, And
I think too, you sort of get to a point in your life where you're just like, well, do you want that stability and do you want that, or do you want to be happy and do you want to be doing something that is your passion and what you've always wanted to do? And for me, that always wins.
Oh, and I think it's really individual, isn't it, for people, depending on their circumstances, because some people just don't have a choice. And I always feel for men in the industry too, in regards to if that's what they do and that's their passion, if they've got children and they've got a wife and stuff, traveling on the road, obviously the wife or partner is going to need to actually look after the kids, but then it's like, wow, I'm away, I'm not seeing them. However, if I lose this gig, how do we put the kid, like there's all that, and I know women have the same, like Pagan's a single mum and that's there, but if you've got a support network behind you where you can actually, you've got a bed, a soft place to put your head down every night and you're not stressing out about earning like the money, then you can manage to get through, you have your real high pitch, like big wins, and then sometimes it's not so great. But like I said, sometimes life gets in the way, and those life things are survive. You need them to survive, as much as you think I'll be right. I mean, it's cool for a while when you're young living out of your car, but then after a while you want a hot shower, like
when it comes to it though, we're very, like in the country scene, we're still very, very new.
Yeah.
Like, especially with all of them. A lot of country artists have gone through the academy and have just been around Tamworth for so long. I think because of our backgrounds have spread so few and far between. I think for the, really big country scene that we're so
we're still learning
this
genre, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's
we're still meeting everyone. And
it It's a good thing. I mean, as long as you don't get too twangy with it, I think it's all right. You know.
I don't think it's our thing. I just don't think we twang. It's just not our thing. You know. I mean, we're kind of considered. Well, we sing how we sing. You know, and I think we're considered to be fresh country.
Yeah.
Like a new sort of, I guess, hybrid country pop more. I guess, but we're not putting ourselves just in that basket.
We just do what we do, and whatever comes out is what we are.
That's it. Well, that's terrific. Well, it's been great talking with you both.
Thank you. You too.
Love to do it again.
Thank you for having us. It may not be the same the other way, but we appreciate it.
We loved being
Of course.
here.
I love you guys. I keep
Thank
telling
you.
my boss, you've got to get those cats back. You know?
We'd love to come and play
love
them
to.
again.
That's
It was
it.
lots of fun.
You must have cast a spell.